Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Oliver Reisinger. Maybe a couple of words of introduction to myself. I'm 55 years old, used to work in investment banking for 25 years with operations from New York to Tokyo. Worked for several investment banks and commercial banks. In 2015, I founded my own company, which is basically a mixture between family office, venture capital, and advisory. Currently, we have 5 companies within Renegade GmbH. The company that we are going to talk today about is Sdm Se, which is Sicherheitsdienst in München, but don't worry, I don't want to bother you with this long German name. We just call it Sdm. I acquired the company back in 2019. What I found was very interesting. It was a company that at the outside had a perfect reputation. Clients have been perfectly happy. Everything was well organized, very, very high standards for the team and the people, very long-standing relationships with clients, more than 20 years in the market. So perfect. At the inside of the company, it was a little bit, as we say, angestaubt or old-fashioned. It was basically run like a company that was run like 20 years in the same going. So we decided in 2019 to restructure the company, see what we have. We basically, took everything under a very, very sharp focus and tried to organize also the company according to the standards to the inside as it was already to the outside. Let me run now through the presentation. I could talk about this topic and this company for years and years and years. I'm aware that we only have 25 to 30 minutes. If you have questions, please feel free to interrupt me, jump in. We will cover the questions as they come along. I jump from first slide, growth with security, to slide number 3, I reckon it is. Which is basically the outline. The threat to people and values is increasing, and I think everybody can feel this. And the respect for these values are decreasing. This is the basis for a multi-billion-dollar market worldwide, and especially growing in Germany and Europe. About our group, we are one of the leading providers in Munich, or as we like to say, the Munich metropolitan area. The Munich metropolitan area comprises around about 13 million people, with very high GDP, with a lot of companies, DAX companies, insurances, what have you. So it is a perfect area for us to grow. We're talking today about Sdm Se, which is basically the holding company of the operational units, Sdm GmbH & Co. KG, limited partnership, and B&W or W&W, which is basically the ex-holding company. We went public last year, and to have the format of a SE or Aktiengesellschaft, for us it was clear when we did this that the operational unit as such is maybe a little bit too small for Sdm Se. So with 2019 and 20 results and the findings that we had and optimizing our organization, it was clear for us that if we go public, that we need to grow also non-organically. In other words, we are prepared, and this was also one of the punchlines for the IPO. We are prepared to acquire other companies. The market is very, very fragmented, but I come to this a little bit later. As I said, as you can see on the right side, founded in 1999. We used 2019 as a complete repositioning of the company. We IPO'd ourselves out in 2021. In 2021, we had around about 13 million of sales, shy of 300 employees, and we are known in the metropolitan area as a quality provider. Of course, everybody says this about himself, but we are main provider for security solutions for the city of Munich and the Free State of Bavaria. Let me come to page 5. As I said before, I was a banker, and once you are a banker, you're always a banker. So I'm not naturally a security person. A lot of people say you have 2 Dobermans and you did a lot of karate, so naturally this was the right choice. Had nothing to do with it. I was, as I said, in banking, but much more important for the whole operation is the person on the other side of this slide, on the right side. Christian Staud is an experienced person for more than 20 years in the security industry, He knows everybody in Munich. He knows most of our people with first name. He eats, breathes, smells, and sweats security. Almost 2 meter tall, second Dan Jiu-Jitsu, but a very, very gentle giant, I would say. He runs operational SDM, and we work as a team. And I reckon over the first 12 months, it was a little bit of a bumpy road between us, but now we get along very, very well. What do we offer? If we talk about security companies in general, we expect, the first impressions of, oh, they do events, they do concerts. Yes, but this is the least interesting part of the whole business. As a big security company in the area, we offer, of course, all services, plant and property protection, controls, cash transit, locking services, everything that you see on the list. But it was very, very clear for us that we need to plan things, and we need to plan our people, and we need to plan the hours of the people. People are paid by the hour, so they want to work hours. So we cannot afford to have people sitting around, because on one day there is a Rolling Stones concert in Munich, but on the next day there is no Rolling Stones concert in Munich. So we have more or less 80% of our turnover is more or less focused on facility management, facility protection for the city of Munich. We do clinics, we do, I don't know the English word for Landratsamt, we all do all sort of things that the city of Munich or the Free State of Bavaria needs to be protected. And this is 24 hours, 7 days a week. So in other words, all of our people are constantly in service. We have a very, very nice, plannable, and durable way of getting all our people into jobs, into hours, and making them earn their money. When you have a facility where you need, for example, 40 people to protect a facility, and this is 24 hours, 7 days a week, you need at least 80 people. And 80 people are not enough, because if you have somebody who's on holidays, somebody is sick, so you need at least 85 to 90 people. So we call this our reserve for every facility. Sometimes the reserves for the facilities offers 2 facilities. Plus we have a squad team that can jump into any facility if need be. So they can even support the staff there and fill up gaps. Now, if everything works perfectly, I come to the conclusion that most of the people that are in the reserve department or in the squad department might not be able to get to all their additional hours. We use those people that need to work more hours, want to work more hours, and ask them, listen, there is a Rolling Stones concert next week. Do you want to go there? So we do it completely the other way. We take out the additional hours that people want to work and put them into events. We put them into concerts. That means for 95% of our time, we know exactly that these people are there, work there, and for the 5% that they want to do extra work, we take them and put them, for example, to events. Now, this is something that we do in order to get a higher diversification for the people, because quite frankly, to stand every day, 7 days a week at the same spot for 8 hours is not very interesting. So for our people, this is a good way of saying, okay, next week I can look forward to go to a concert, or next week I'm looking forward to go to this and that event, what have you. The other services, cash transit, I'm often asked, cash transit is a good business. No, it isn't. It isn't. You don't want to have armored carriers with people with guns driving into in Munich, on Munich street, with always the potential that they break their backs, because what they pick up is not notes, they pick up coins. And so in most cases from those people, the backs in 2, 3, 5 years are damaged. We don't want to do this. We don't want to put the burden on our people. Secondly, the market is highly competitive and very, very low on margin. So we stay out of this. But having said so, we also offer, for example, security transits. What we do, we drive to Maximilianstraße, which is Munich's high street, go to Bulgari, pick up earrings for 800,000 euros, drive them to a nearby hotel. Then some actor, some model will put the earrings on, they take a couple of pictures, and we drive them back. This is something that we like to do. 8 people with guns, with armored vehicles, they carry them over. It takes 2 or 3 hours. We are out there. And this is a business that we would like to do. So high qualified, highly specialized. And I think this suits more our picture of a quality provider anyway. All other services, locking services, data carrier management, it is basically cross-sell what we do for existing customers. If they ask us if we are able to do it, then we do it. We don't offer them very aggressively. Some of them we don't offer at all. They are on our webpage. Obviously, we get requests sometimes, and then we choose whether the margin or whether the time or the sense of this potential new job is good enough for us. Sounds a little bit arrogant, I know. Let's go to next page. I already tried to speed up things. What is the security market? It is a growth market, as I mentioned before. The development in Germany is somewhat very interesting, because you can see on the right side in the graph a spike in 2015. Well, this was clearly the refugee crisis that we had in Germany. Suddenly, a lot of refugee homes, or a lot of, as we call them in Germany, Ankerzentrum, where they all come in the first place, had to be protected. So the growth was big. It went down a little bit, but now with the war in Ukraine, it starts to pick up now. Refugees come from Ukraine. There's a lot of demand. There is more demand at the moment than there are security people. Having said so, it is not only refugees, it's not only the people who come to our place. We have tried to reduce our exposure to that segment since 2020, bit by bit. Why? Because we believe that at some point in the future, this will slow down and this is over. Once the war in Ukraine hopefully comes to an end soon, we reckon that the numbers will go down. So we don't want to be exposed in this sector. We don't want to have a dramatic workforce that we build up that can only do this. We see this. We are asked by the city of Munich sometimes to do things for them, and then obviously, because this is our prime client, we do it. The number of companies and employees has declined slightly in recent years. As I mentioned before, the market is absolutely fragmented. The classical security firm is is run by the founder, is owned by the founder, is in between 40 to 60 people. Most of the founders, over 60% of the founders, are over 60. So there is a big market for potential takeovers because of older, the elder people give their companies away. And there's obviously potential for growth, because some of the small firms work as subcontractors for bigger firms, and instead of having them as subcontractors, we take them on. Let me go to page 8. I mentioned this word Munich metropolitan area a couple of times before. As I said, 13 million residents, nationwide, the highest disposable income. We have 2 fairs, we have a lot of concerts. We are, I'd say, the cultural point for the whole of southern Germany, for Bavaria especially. It is, an area where there is competition, but this is an area where we feel very at home. Having said so, the metropolitan area gives us a very competitive edge. Our troops, our people, they don't drive with their cars, or they don't drive with our buses to the facilities that we have. They solemnly use public transportation. This makes it for us safer in the sense that we know they will be there on time. It is also, economically makes much more sense than to let our buses drive around with people. And it is it made a very big impact to us, because we are very flexible. There was an incident a couple of years ago where the city of Munich asked us to go there. It was it was an attack by a person with a gun. He shot 3 people, and we arrived at the scene with guns and with armor faster than the police. Unfortunately, we have not been the one who have taken the aggressor down, but the police were stuck in the traffic jam, and we arrived there with public transportation. Let's go to the next page. This is obviously, coming from Munich and being a Munich guy, my favorite page. It is a picture from the Oktoberfest. As I said before, we are not an event company. We are not a concert company. But as you can imagine, for the Oktoberfest, we make everything possible. Traditionally, we had one tent. Traditionally, in the beginning, we had 2 or 3 tents. We lost our tent last year because one of the competitors stepped in. This competitor was in the press. It was a horrible performance. We are sure to come back to the Oktoberfest next year. Nevertheless, we have obviously guarded a lot of spots at the Oktoberfest. We have been there with around about 60 people, also on 24/7. Let me jump into numbers and what we have done on page 10. At a glance, Sdm, the share capital 3.45 million. The issue price was 350. Current price is around €4. We had a spike up to 480. Shareholder structure is a little bit unfair because 15.9% free float is actually a number too low. We have shareholders that are willing to sell pieces, and in fact, if they're willing to share to sell pieces, then they should count into free float again. But no discussion. This is a very, very tightly in liquidity of the share is very, very tight. I own 65%, or my company Renegade owns 65%. We have research out from 2 research companies, GBC and Stream Capital, both well above €5. We are listed at every stock exchange. And since the IPO, we have to say we had got a lot of positive feedback. We got a lot of attention. We had discussions even with security firms from outside of Germany. And this was really like a booster for our publicity. We had on page 11, please, we see the positive development also in the Corona period. Again, here, we have not been the ones who said we need to guard every Corona test point, every COVID center that is out there, because we knew that this will be over. We have been asked again from some of our clients, prime clients, to guard their stores, to guard their facilities. One of the clinics that we have was the clinic who got the BioNTech injection first. We had to guard them, very robust, because there had been a lot of trouble and a lot of anxiety about whether this will arrive. You can see, going from left to right, 2019, well below under 10 million of turnover. This derives also from the fact that we in 2019 identified 2 major facilities that we guarded as being non-profitable and gave the contracts back. Funnily enough, in 2021, we got both of those facilities back because the owners have not been very happy with the security firm that took over from us. We managed to get a higher margin. We managed to get our system on board, and this is normally how we work. EBIT is also up. Net income is up. Of course, this is 2021 numbers. This is not interesting anymore. We look at 2022 ongoing. I think that's much, much more interesting. But if you can clearly see here that our strategic development was successfully implemented, that we have been able to start, transforming this company into a very, very modern security firm. We also said in 2020 and 21, we want to increase the business with corporate clients. This is on the one hand, not necessarily, we don't need to do this. We don't want to lose the existing clients. We are very, very happy that 80% of our clients is the city of Munich and is the Free State of Bavaria. And obviously, being a banker, when we first roadshowed SDM, a lot of people said, "Oh, you have high concentration risk." Yeah. Okay, concentration risk. My counterpart is AAA rated. My counterpart pays after 30 days, and this client, City of Munich and Free State of Bavaria, are actually 18 different facilities that we got, and in most cases, this is not one person that decides whether we got those 18. So there are different offices at the City of Munich. So basically, we have one client that is called City of Munich, but it is 18 different departments. So we are very happy with this. On the other hand, we said, in order to promote more cross-sell or to exploit where we can, maybe expand the business, we said we need to go into the corporate business a little bit more. We managed to win a couple of very famous clients, Rossmann, which is a pharmacist chain, and obviously very proud of FC Bayern. Since 1.5 years, we work with them. It's a very, 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 I'm not saying this because I'm from Bavaria, one of the finest clients we've ever worked with, and we're very happy, and I hope they are very happy with us as well. We last on this page, we paid a dividend of 8 cents in 2021. There's German in there. Dividende die Aktie. I'm sorry for that. I strongly believe, coming from the capital markets, that you need to have organic growth, but also be able to pay something back to your shareholders. So we will have a dividend strategy that is long lasting. We will have a dividend strategy that we are very focused on. We will not pay next year 20 cents of dividends and then go back to 15 cents. We try to have a very constant increase of dividends as our businesses also grows over a long time. We want to, let the shareholders participate in that. 12, obviously the most interesting page that we're looking on now. In 2022, we continued this organic growth. We have, we will hopefully, not saying too much, we probably end up with around about 17 million of turnover, shy of 17 million turnover. We have seen that some of the processes that we have optimized in 19, 20, and 21 also pay out now. We also see that in the Munich area, a lot of the smaller companies are not able to deliver anymore. There are in Germany around about 140,000 people in the security sector that are missing, that are not there. So we had already events that had to be canceled. All tickets have been sold. Everything was, they canceled one ticket close to Munich. It was a 3-day festival that started on Friday, I think 16 hours. They stopped the concert at 12 o'clock. The police stopped it because there was not enough security there. So this is an operational risk at the moment. A lot of people have experienced that also when the IAA, the International Automotive Exhibition, was here in Munich. Some of the companies thought that they can just bring any staff. No, there is much tighter control. You need paragraph 34A, you need this and that. And the latest hours that have been sold was to a French car company, and they had to pay more than $85 per hour for the security staff. In average, they paid 25. So it is, there is a problem with personnel in that market. And this leads me to the right side. The biggest challenge is personal recruitment. Now we are in a very, very fine situation. Why? Unlike most of our competitors, we pay. We pay very transparent. We pay fair. And in the industry, everybody knows this. We have a very high reputation with what we call Sicherheitskräfte Paragraph 34a, which is the lowest level where you can work. So the standard worker has a paragraph 34, which is from the Industrie- und Handelskammer, which is the a test that they have to do for 1 week. And then we also guide them through first aid security and Brandschutz, firefighting test, whatever you, I don't know the word, sorry. And so those people, those normal workers, we are able to acquire, 40 in a week, no problem. But for us, the problem is that we have a certain quality level that we don't want to go under. In other words, we are looking for people who can run a site managers, object managers, facility managers, and they are very hard to find. We started internally a program to acquire them from the outside, to also take people from our staff and gradually bring them to the point where they can do it. But this takes a lot of time. This is very tough. And due to the fact that the market is looking for exactly those peoples, there is a lot of changing within the firms. They pay higher rates, they give them a nicer car and what have you. So this is a challenge for us as well. Nevertheless, I can say that we are not as badly hit as our competitors at the moment, due to, as I said before, our reputation. One reason why we are also on the road to buy other companies, smaller companies. If we buy smaller companies in Munich, we are not necessarily buying their turnover. We are not necessarily buying their clients. In most cases, we know that we can have better margins with those clients. in the metropolitan region, we are looking for qualified staff. So in other words, we're willing to pay to get good teams on board. Outside the metropolitan Munich area, it is different. There we buy infrastructure and clients. So in other words, M&A in our area is more or less supporting our organic growth. M&A outside our area is traditional inorganic growth. Let me jump on page 13. What is the group at the moment? These are 9-month figures. As you can see, we have depreciation, goodwill. This was also one of the reasons why we dipped from 418 share price, because you had to explain German law says you have to depreciate the value of the company that you have bought. Sdm as the holding needs to depreciate Sdm Sicherheitsdienste, but you depreciate over 10 years the value of the firm. But this is not a car. It's not like in 10 years this car is, you can bring it to the dump and then you cannot use it anymore. So in 10 years we have depreciated more or less the price of SDM, but SDM is still there. It also reduces our tax burden. So I think in first glance it doesn't look that good, but I actually like it. Reducing tax burden is always a good thing. We will come out with an EBIT of around about 830,000 euros on 9-month figures. We will be above 1 million, knock on wood, for end of this year. We have good cash flow. We are, as I mentioned before, looking at M&A possibilities. I have identified 18 companies in the last 1.5 years. 16 of them horrible, either in quality of staff or too expensive. And I was a banker. I don't buy too expensive. You can forget this. I buy it at my price. And now we are very, very close with 2 companies. One, hopefully, if we get the barristers and the lawyers online, one, a smaller one in the region, will be acquired, hopefully still in 2022. The other one, which is a very big company, actually bigger than Sdm Se, will be acquired in the first 3 months of 2023. Talking about paying and acquiring an M&A business, how do we do it? Obviously, we have cash reserves. Obviously, we are financially strong. Obviously, we will use some of the profits that we make this year. But on the other hand, although rates have gone up quite radically, actually, it is still available, and our banks that we bank with are very willing to support this. Nevertheless, we also try to make arrangement with the banks of the target that we have. They want to be on board. So at the moment, it is still not a problem to get capital on board. We do have equity. We will get bank loans. We will see how we manage this out. The EBIT and EBITDA of the other company is actually quite strong. So we will produce, good numbers. I'm not allowed to say more. Let's jump on 14, and I think we're good in time. Grow with us. We are in an industry that has good growth prospects. We are situated in a very strong economic region. We have, I think, quite interestingly reorganized ourselves and repositioned ourselves, and we also proved this with numbers. This company has never been not profitable. This company has never had a single year in existence where they lost any money or did not make any money. And we want to accelerate this growth. We need to see which company fits to us in the region, which company fits to us mostly from their staff, from the people who run the day-to-day business, and also where we can have synergies. And
I have to stop you because we're just 1 minute over the time, but I think we just finished. So sadly, we don't have any more time for any more questions, but thank you very much.
For questions, you can contact me under the number that is on the presentation. Feel free to write me an email. Feel free to phone me. I have planned the whole day for questions. So thank you very much for your time.